Tyler Forbes is back at Guernsey on trial. He's here for now. I'm just trying to stop him from retiring. No one's giving him a job. It's December. This man needs a team. And, well, at the moment, his wage demand's too high for us. If he realises his place in the world, I will give him a contract. Until then, he's on trial. What I will say is, I have gone not crazy in the transfer market, but I have signed a goalkeeper and another centre-back and a centre-mid. Yeah, I don't want to say I've panicked after a rough start to the season, but I've definitely strengthened things. Yes, folks, how is it going? Welcome back to Park to Prem. Today is episode number 20, and, well, as I've already alluded to, we've signed some players, and our fortunes have turned around, and I'm not going to say it's entirely because of the new signings, but the new goalkeeper has definitely made a difference. It might come as a bit of a surprise to find out that I've replaced Jack Bycroft, because truth be told, he was really good for us last year, but I was quickly getting frustrated. 10 games played this season, a 6.73 rating, and whilst we had issues that extended beyond the goalkeeping position, it was one of those areas of the pitch that I was thinking about strengthening in, and then I found the right player, and it was a bit of a no-brainer. And that player is Sean McDonald. He's gone straight into the media dream 11 in our division, 29 years old. He has signed a contract till 2028 on £300 a week. He actually agreed to be a backup, which surprises me because if we just compare him and Jack, it's quite evident how good Sean is. Sean is absolutely ridiculous. Let's not beat around the bush here. The man is mad. He was previously playing for Southampton, was released. Since he's come into the club, whilst he's only kept 3 clean sheets in 8 games, a 7.2 rating just kind of gives you an idea of how good he's been. He's been keeping everything out, and with his arrival, things have got better. I think it would be a tad disingenuous, though, to say he's the only signing that's made an impact, because we have signed a couple of other players, the first of which is Harry Kite, a more defensive centre-mid, a player who had a lot of interest in him. I think we talked about him just last episode, and the fact I thought we were going to try and sign him. Good news, he agreed to join us. Last year, played 10 games in League One. Hadn't found a club. Since he's come in, he's been doing all the grunt work for us, but 2 assists, a 6.99 rating for a defensive mid is pretty good this year. And the third and final player that's joined us is Morgan Williams. He was a player I talked about last episode. We were on the verge of signing him. I love him. He's here. He's played 8 games. He's averaged a 7.11 rating. And he is kind of the centre-back I was hoping he was going to be. Now, whilst we're on the topic of centre-backs, I want to say a shout-out and a well done to Sam Roscoe. I feel like a teacher who's brought a student to the front of the class to show how good he's been. Look, he's been amazing. Last 5 games, he's been in some really good form. Average rating of 7.27 for his last 10 games is impressive. And between Roscoe, Williams and McDonald, we are just looking like a much better unit. And that kind of shows in the form where, whilst it's not all entirely green, we're not conceding nearly as many goals as we were, and we are actually grinding out results. Now, before we get too far ahead, let's address the elephant in the room. We lost to Walsall in the FA Cup. You know that FA Cup that I bigged to Paula last episode? Yeah, we crashed out of it in the very next round. Against a team in the league above us, mind you. It was a first game for Williams and McDonald. Wasn't a debut to remember. What I will say is we were unlucky in this one, but, well, the FA Cup dreams come to a halt, and with that, full focus has been on the league. And when it comes to league form, there is a much brighter picture, I feel like, than when we left things previously. Of course, last time out, lost to Ebbsfleet Town 1-0. Worth noting that they are right up there, currently second in the league alongside Maidstone, who you might remember we drew to right at the very start of the season. So in kind of hindsight, those results seem like pretty good results. As for ourselves, right now we're in 8th, we're just outside the playoff spots, but this division is just ridiculously close. A couple of defeats, we could fall down as low as 17th. A couple of wins, you could suddenly find yourself in 3rd place. It's a very competitive league, the Vanarama National League South. So the first result we had in this run of games was against Bognor Regis. A 2-1 win looked pretty good, sticking it out with a 4-4-2. As you can see, that has changed a little bit, but not before we had an atrocious run of games, starting with a 1-1 draw against Worthing, a 1-0 defeat followed, and then, well, we had a couple of wins which weren't the most convincing, and were also against much lesser opposition. Gosport and Wealdstone, 2 teams struggling, 2-1, 2-0. Off the back of that, I thought to myself, I kind of want to just go back to the 4-2-4. It served us well. We had a couple of injuries going on as well. It's a system that we used at the start of the season, which obviously I abandoned rather early on, but maybe I didn't give it enough time. So we went back to it, back to what we know, back to what I built this team to play with, and with the new centre-backs and goalkeeper in place, and of course a new defensive mid, fortunes turned around. Not before we lost to Eastbourne Borough. I realise I've bigged up all this tactical changing and saying how great it was. The first game we had was actually a defeat. After that, we drew our next game 0-0, looked solid at the back, but didn't really have the firepower I hoped we'd have. That said, in the very next game, we did see some of that firepower. Willock's back from injury, getting an early goal. Great to see him back in the team. A player who got injured, was out for a few weeks. A big miss for us. You can see he's had a run of games in the first team. I'm not going to pretend he's been the greatest thing ever, but his early goal in this game helped us out a lot. And from one win into another, this time in the FA Trophy against Leamington, we won 2-0. Most recently, took on Dover, a home game. NLBM got a hat-trick, Farquad got a goal and some assists, and you know what? When you see performances like this and a sea of green like this, it makes me think that maybe we should stick it out with the 4-4-2. Roscoe and Williams great, McDonald in goal actually got a 7.6. He did his thing that he needed to do. And in the midfield, Kite and Rossi playing well. Rossi playing in that box-to-box midfielder area, which is where we had him at the start of the season, and alongside him, Kite obviously coming into the team in this match here, got an 8.1 rating. I think he's going to be a really good player who adds a bit more balance and certainly makes up for some of the inability to defend that Rossi has. So just looking at the team and how things are going so far this season, this is the system that I've played for this recent run of 4-2-4 games. Periodically, I've been changing out instructions. What I've ended up landing on is something similar to what we played last year, but without the pass into space instruction. You might also notice that for today's game, Iwamene is going to play at box-to-box midfielder, and what that means is that Rossi's going to play out on the right. And you might be wondering, Jack, where is Will Murray? Well, Will Murray's on the bench, but Will Murray, I'll be honest, he's not been very good. I know he had his injury, I know he's had his struggles, but he's not exactly hit the ground running upon his return. And having given him 7 games, I've lost patience, and I've decided that between Iwamene and also Rossi, we just have better options to start in both the centre mid and right mid position. I think this is an area of the pitch that Rossi could potentially really shine in. And it's also a position I'm not really giving him a chance in either. When we were playing the 4-4-2 with the deeper kind of wider midfielders, he got 2 goals and an assist there. Kind of interested to see what he can do slightly higher up in the final third. Some other good news that eagle-eyed viewers might have noticed, the training facility upgrades, they've happened. We spent £160,000 to add half a star to our training rating. I don't know if it's worth it in hindsight. And just on the financial front, obviously no FA Cup run this year to keep us propped up, but with increased ticket sales, more season tickets sold at the start of the season, the finances are actually looking way better than I expected them to. Now, and a little bit of injury news ahead of our game today. Carlos is injured for a long time, might I add. 2 to 4 weeks now, but he's been out for an extended period of time. The striker came in with some injury concerns. They've kind of reared their head, and as a result of that, he's not been playing a great deal for us. The super sub, or the player I thought was going to be the super sub, hasn't been all that super yet. I'm paying him £300 at the moment to sit on the physio table. And just whilst we're talking about the finances, I feel like this is a good screen to always look at to give you a better idea of where do we fit in terms of, the league hierarchy for salary spend. We are a team that have generated a lot of money through sales. As a result, that the wages are on the higher side. That said, we are spending £317,000 per season. When you compare that to Ebbsfleet and Maidstone in first and second, we're kind of a whole different world away. Maidstone, by the way, spending over £200,000 more than anyone else in this league. So we are still in the FA Trophy for now. The FA Cup we are out of, but today full focus is on the Vanarama National League South. Today we have an away game against Concord Rangers in 16th, and after that we are going to be playing Enfield Town at home. And whilst these teams might look a little far behind us in the league, the actual points gap is much closer. In fact, Concord Rangers only 5 points behind us, despite the fact they're 8 places below us. Yeah, it is. I've said it already. It's mental how close this league is. In some other good news, because we upgraded the facilities, all the players I promised improved training facilities are all happy. And also, Tony Gallagher was unhappy with my team talks. He's happy again now. So everything's good in the hood. Good in the hood. I don't think I've ever said that before in my life. Today's first game of the season is away from home, so you know what time it is. It's time for Jack Does an Away Day. I really need a jingle or something for this point in the video, don't I? A jingle or an intro or something that's a nice transition. I'm not musically inclined. I'm going to make a jingle at some point. It'll probably be rubbish and you'll never see it. But let's just go. I mean, why need transitions when you can just do an awkward throw over like this? I've had a very awkward moment in Jack Does an Away Day because I went to Concord Rangers and started talking about it. Was very confused by the fact it's in a field turns out this is the wrong Concord Rangers. The Concord Rangers we're taking on are over, well, in the east. Now, for people wondering, where are we actually going today, Jack? The question is, we're heading to Canvey Island, and we're heading here to Concord Rangers, which, from the looks of it, is next to a trailer park. Is this a trailer park? Either that, or tents, maybe? Or there's just a really uninventive architect selling mini houses, or whatever those tiny houses are called. Now, it doesn't look like we have any drone footage available today, but we can go onto Thames Road, next door to the stadium, and we are in the right place, and big thank you to our NHS. Amen to that. I can confirm it is next door to a trailer park. Do you reckon the people who own these trailers and these houses, they rent them out? Why do they not have windows on the side? If I lived in one of these, I'd be cutting out a window so I can watch all the matches for free. I mean, it's not the grandest pantheon we've ever played at, but I quite like it as a stadium. You've got the whatever this is, water treatment next door. The stadium itself, I mean, it's got some seats. I could probably sit here and count them all. Not a lot of seats, mind you. If you were wondering, £12 for an adult, £3 for children. If you live near Canvey Island, go watch Concord Rangers play. That's a bargain. I'll tell you what, they really are just trying to tick off the Work the Space bingo card here. They've got picnic benches, and they've got a proper car park with painted lines. I'll tell you what, I'm in heaven. I feel like this stadium is the perfect amalgamation of everything that I love. Picnic benches, proper car parking, a nice stadium with, a little bit of a unique quirk being next to a trailer park, and the thank you NHS sign. And whilst it doesn't have a bowling alley or mini golf, it doesn't need any of that. I'm giving Canvey Island's ground an 8 out of 10. I realise that I've said Canvey Island Stadium. Do Canvey Island... There is a team called Canvey Island. Do they share a stadium? They probably don't. I've probably just got two rival teams modelled up. Okay, this is incredibly awkward. Canvey Island play at Park Lane. Concord Rangers play at the Aspect Arena. I wonder how many times I accidentally said Canvey Island during that segment. Doesn't matter, we're going to beat them today. They're irrelevant. Of course, if we now go on to lose this game, it is going to be rather awkward. In terms of team news for the game, McDonald, Roscoe, Williams, the holy trifecta in the middle, they are going to shine at the back. At right back, Osborne is now capable of playing right back. He's learned the position. He's been playing there a little bit. Now accomplished in that position. Gallagher holds down his spot on the left-hand side. Kite is going to make his live commentary debut alongside Iwemene. Willicks and Rossi on even wing. And Farquad and Malubu, they stay up front. Look, Malubu. No, it's Mabulu, Jack. I'll tell you what, today's not been a good day for commentary. Okay, kickoff highlight. We're getting straight into things. We're going to start off with a flyer. Having struggled so far in live commentaries this season, we've won 1 of 5. It wasn't even in the league. Going to hope that we can have a better showing today, especially with our recent form. Reverting back to that 4-2-4 system, which I wasn't sure if it was going to work at this level. I feel like I didn't really give it enough time to shine. And given it was the system that we've built the team for, I still feel like it's the right system to persist with, at this point in the season, having now got in the personnel that I think we were lacking, having a more reliable goalkeeper, I think we kind of afford, I suppose, to have that more gung-ho approach. And well, speaking of which, I'm going to hope we can make something happen here. This has been a very long highlight, Football Manager. Please end in a goal. NLBM does end it in a goal, and it's come within the first minute. Take about my son. Hat-trick last game on the score sheet again already. Pretty simple goal in the end. Kite with a big lump up, and well, on his live com debut, he's gone and got himself an assist. Given our slow start to the season, I'm very conscious of the fact that realistically we are not going to be able to necessarily challenge for that automatic promotion spot, but I want to try and cement our credentials as a playoff team. I view today's 2 matches against mid-table teams that aren't a million miles away from us as a chance to show that we are just a step above that kind of bunch in the middle of the table. Although this one away from home I think is going to be more of a challenge. For a second I thought we were going to give away another penalty. And I'll tell you what, if Whittingham had scored then, I'll probably just walk out, leave the room. That would have been ridiculous. Free kick, McGowan, dangerous area, hits it. Oh my word, it's not convincing goalkeeping, is it, by McDonald? I've bigged him up as this new signing, who's been our saviour. And, I guess he saved it right. He's still keeping a clean sheet for now. He might have more to do here. Corner whipped in, Swan with it. McGowan with the ball in the wide area. He was offside. And with that, the attack's going to fizzle out. Hester Cook switches the ball all the way to Swan. Iwemene, though, there to read it. Rossi, now playing in this winger position. Very keen to see how he gets on out in that wider part of the pitch. Kite, already 1 assist. That is a ridiculous ball, and it should have been a goal, really. was an effort by NLBM. It falls to Willocks, who, I think that was a shot. It was awful. But the ball there by Kite was silly. The man's on a 7.5. He's already got 1 assist. He very nearly had another. It is interesting how much just a few little upgrades in personnel can just change a team around. We knew that the centre-back area was going to be a problem. I didn't necessarily think we needed a new goalkeeper at the start of the year. As the season played out and when McDonald became available, it felt like a little bit of a no-brainer. And just a solidity at the back is what is helping us out massively. We've already experienced it this game. We're on course for another clean sheet. Would like us to get another goal, though, just as a bit of an insurance policy. They've just subbed on Michael Jackson. Surely not. That can't be his real name, can it? He better moonwalk if he scores against us. Where is MJ? Where is Mr. Jackson? Mr. Jackson? He must be a defender, I assume. Kouame, far side, Whittingham heads it. McDonald makes a save. It was straight at him. I know the comment section won't rest unless I check out Michael Jackson. He's a 17-year-old centre-back who's not even contracted. Can I offer him a contract mid-game? I can, but apparently we live too far away. Apparently Guernsey is too far away from Canvey Island. Okay, never mind. I'm not sure if signing a player purely off the fact they're called Michael Jackson is necessarily a wise transfer decision, at least from a professional football management perspective, but it would have been fun. 28 minutes left in this game. It's not been a classic so far. 1-0. We're going to change some things up. I'm going to bring in Kitongo at striker. Elsewhere, Rossi hasn't exactly shone out on the right-hand side, so we're going to bring in Will Merry as well for some fresh legs. Will Merry, of course, one of our key players, was one of the big kind of standout players last year, but having missed a lot of the start of this season through injury, he's just not quite been up to the same speed that I feel like he had previously. That said, this is the kind of game where to have him as a sub option, it's almost not fair on the other team. Between him and Kitongo, they are two players with outrageous physicals for this level, and against, a tiring defence, just to be able to unleash these players, it's just not cricket. It shouldn't be allowed. It should be illegal. Osborne, far side. If we get a goal now, would I cancel the changes? Probably not. I'm going to stick to my guns. Shot deflects. Cummings now has it. He's going to play it back across the middle. Kouame plays it forward to Whittingham. Roscoe, though, reads it well. Gallagher switches it to Rossi. This could be his last contribution. He heads it to Farquad. And very nearly there, the two players I'm about to sub off linked up to score. Still a one-goal game with 23 minutes left. There's a temptation maybe to go a bit more defensive, but with how this game's played out, I feel like we've benefited from playing on the front foot. We've had 55% of the ball as the away team, which is absolutely nothing to scoff at. Just need to make that possession kind of count for something, I suppose. Ball played forward here to Kitongo. In a wide area, only one option to aim for in the middle in NLBM. He picks him out, though, superbly. Give Jai all the credit there. It's goal number 14 of the season for NLBM. He's one goal away from back-to-back hat-tricks. And, as I said, there was one option in the middle. Kitongo did really well, to be honest, to get his head up here. Concord Rangers dropped deep, and with that, they just gave NLBM time and space. And that is one thing you can't afford to do, is 2-0. 5 minutes left of this game. It's been a pretty impressive performance. We've been able to handle everything that they've thrown at us. And despite maybe a few chances in the first half, a couple at the start of this half, to be honest, they've never really looked like scoring. It's another clean sheet for us. It's another really good win. And in the second half, you can see we were just the better team. The team talk worked wonders. Things started to click. McDonald in goal got an 8.0. The centre-backs played to perfection. And to be honest, it was just a really good team performance. With that result there, we move into the playoffs for the first time all season. Elsewhere, Maidstone United and Ebbsfleet both drew 1-1 for Ebbsfleet against Bognor Regis. That's the only time ever I'm happy that Bognor Regis have got a point. Maidstone drew 0-0 against Dover. Means we're only 9 points behind them. As much as I'm looking upwards, probably should also acknowledge the fact there's currently 4 teams alongside us, 3 teams and us, tied on 31 points. So as much as we're in the playoffs, it is by virtue of goal difference. NLBM picked up man of the match, an 8.4 rating for him. He had a really, really rough run of games, you can see here. 6 games where he's just struggled, but in the last 6, he's been a whole different player. 8 goals in his last 10 all of a sudden. The man's on fire. We're going to hope he can keep that going as we go into today's second game against Enfield. It's only 3 days away, so a chance now to rest up the players, leave them out of training, hopefully come back and get a win. And with that, we could climb, dare I say, as high as 3rd. That would involve 3 teams above us all bottling it, which does seem unlikely. Enfield Town at home is a game that we should be winning, but given our recent form, who knows what's going to happen. It feels like we take 2 steps forward, 1 step back in terms of progressing as a team. One little bit of team news, it's pretty much all unchanged with the exception of Zach Atkinson, who is off the bench. I like this guy a lot. I think he's a really good player, but he's told me I have to get him sold, otherwise he's going to run down his contract. He's transfer listed by request. I've set an asking price of 60k. That said, his contract's up at the end of the year. There's a pretty good chance we lose him for nothing, which, I mean, we spent nothing on him, so I guess there's nothing lost, but at the same time, he is a useful squad player. He was on the bench. Instead, Dylan Crow, the fan club rejoice. The people who love this man, I know you're out there. Your boy makes the bench, mostly because he's a good defensive option, but can also slot in at centre mid if need be. With 5 goals in his last 2 games, I think the man to keep an eye on today is going to be NLBM. The Lord Farquaad, though, has been a bit in the shadow of the French forward. They've both got 14 goals so far this season. They are tied in the race to be the top goal scorer in the team. Hoping that's going to not impact their relationship between one another as, well, I just want the win, really. I don't care who scores. Let's just make sure we do actually score some goals. Enfield are a team that actually started the season really, really well, but they've lost 3 on the bounce. So, an interesting one for us today. I actually used to live not a million miles away from Enfield, so interested to see how we get on against what was once upon a time one of my local teams. And, well, hopefully we're going to get one over on them here as the ball's played forward and our centre midfield does not exist. Fortunately, neither does the composure of the Enfield playmaker there. That is an awful ball forward to MacDonald, who is having an intimate moment with Williams. What are they discussing there? What are they saying to one another? I don't know. I feel like Williams has just made a threat to him. You know, roll me the ball or else. Either way, I'm not going to complain because we're still in possession. Farquaad looks to go wide. The Lord's there. Not with the best of passes. Dafter with it for them, cutting inside. Osborne at right back. Wins it back well, though. And now we look to build out again. Kite, a player you don't want to afford too much time and space because they'll cut you open, just like we've cut them open here, and that should have been a goal. NLBM kicks it straight into the hands of the keeper. That chance there, the first shot of the game. We've only had one since in the first 22 minutes. It looks like a cagey game bogged down in the midfield. It is a 4-4-2 versus 4-4-2 affair. Enfield maybe had the better of the play, and well, it now shows on the scoreline. It's a corner to the back post by Duffy, and Farl is there, unmarked, simple. Not the best defending I've ever seen here. He leaps all on his lonesome. Who was that next to him? It was Ibu Mene who went for the ball, didn't get anywhere near it. We find ourselves a goal down in a game where we've had 61% of the ball, and I feel like mostly been on top. I say that, when you look at the average positions, it's kind of clear we're having the ball in areas, but we're having it a bit deep. We're not really getting the ball actually forward. So let's go a little bit more direct, get rid of distributing it exclusively to the defence and see what we can do. Before that change even takes effect, though, maybe an opportunity here. Farquaad, NLBM. He's missed 2 one-on-ones in this game. He could have had 2 already. Couple of players on yellow cards, never something you want to see. They are going to have a tight rope to walk. But to be honest, Gallagher and Kite, 2 players who I think we just have to keep faith in. But at the break, well, the faith I've put in this squad as a whole hasn't really been repaid. You can see we've had chances, probably the better of the play, but we're still a goal down. Gonna get shouty. What was that? Get your act together. Most of the players reacted well, and LBM's reacted composed. You know what? I'm having a word of him personally. I'm furious at your performance so far tonight. He's demotivated. You know what? I'm a harsh leader. Maybe he'll play well, you know? Some players are players that need motivating. Maybe some players need demotivating. I'm not a psychologist. Free kick in a potentially dangerous area here. Enfield with it. They've scored from 1 set piece already. Duffy was the provider on that occasion. He stood over this one. And that's only just gone over the bar. NLBM on a 6.1. Maybe I shouldn't have demotivated him. I'm going to bring in Kitongo. I think he had a really good game, Kitongo, previously when we brought him on. When I do play him, we go to a pressing forward alongside an advanced forward. Have we just scored? We've just scored. Who scored? Was it a set piece? What's happened? This is one of the more awkward moments ever to happen in a video. Have we just scored from a corner as I was thinking about changing stuff? I mean, Kite's put the ball in, and then is it just Roscoe at the near post? It is. I mean, Roscoe is a man mountain. That might be his first goal for the club. It might not be. I'm not sure. It's not a fact. I need to pause the game. I'm still taking off NLBM. But yes, Kitongo's going to come on. When we play him as a pressing forward just because it plays into his strengths. Elsewhere, Rossi's not been amazing, but I'm going to keep him on and bring in Merry, I think, on the left-hand side. I do still have one sub. Just wondering if I want to change things. Kite might have been a player I'd take off ordinarily, but he's just got an assist from a corner, so I suppose he's staying on. We've got 1 goal. We're now looking for another to take the lead in this game. You might have thought, is there a temptation when you pull level to not do the changes? Absolutely not. I believe in Katongo, and I was about to say, and that's why, but he's missed another one-on-one. Has he ever scored a one-on-one when you guys have been watching? I feel like he's camera shy. I feel like that's maybe the 3rd or 4th one-on-one he's missed in an episode. Has he even scored on camera yet? I promise it does happen occasionally. Going to bring in some fresh legs in the midfield. Tajera on for Iwemene in the box-to-box midfielder role. To be honest, we've not been bad in this game. There's a temptation to change a load of stuff and go way, way more attacking. But I feel like in doing that, I might just ruin our best chances of getting a goal. That said, I'm going to go and tell the players, hit crosses in sooner. Let's be more direct. Hit the space in behind if we can. With 4 minutes left, is there a breakthrough either way? As the home team, this would definitely be viewed as points dropped if we can't get the win. And while playing in goal for them has just made an absolutely great collect there of that cross. He's gobbled it up like a hungry hippo. You know in the Hungry Hippo board game where you hit the hippos? Anyway, Merry, I digress. I'm getting distracted today. Farquad nods it on. Katongo, he's missed another one-on-one. He's missed another one-on-one. 4 minutes of added time. I feel like the chances we've got to win this game have been wasted. And with it, whilst it's not a defeat, it's a draw in a game where, let's be frank, we have been way, way better. And I don't want to blame anyone individually, but I am going to blame this man. The frustrating thing is, he has actually got into the right positions on a consistent basis. He's good at getting where he needs to be, just can't do the whole finishing thing, which is annoying. I really did think I was going to come back here and no longer be in the playoffs, but looking at it, I think everyone who was on 31 points just drew, and a few more teams are also now on 32 points. From 3rd to 11th is currently separated by 2 points. That is wild. In fact, that is mad, isn't it? The more I'm looking at this, the more insane it seems. Roscoe, by the way, had a slow start to his time at the club. I bigged him up at the start, brought him in front of class. He's kept it going today. 8.0 rating, a goal to his name as well. 1 goal conceded in 2. Compared to the last few episodes, that doesn't feel that bad. Today really is a weird episode, and it has just been a weird season so far. When you've got so many teams so close together, one moment you're in the playoffs, the next year in the bottom half of the table. It's just wild how quickly things are changing. Despite a draw there, though, I think it's safe to say we are now getting back on track. We're playing some better football. I think we're a bit unlucky that we didn't win the game against Enfield, although both teams ended up scoring set pieces. And when I look ahead, whilst there's some difficult games in here, there are also some pretty winnable ones. It is a rather rough run of games. That said, I feel like I have to come back for the Maidstone match, because Maidstone are currently top of the league. We played them right at the beginning of the season, and it was a bit of an interesting game with a 1-1. That game is only a month away, so with that in mind, we might pair it up with maybe games against Slough and maybe against Oxford City in 6th. They're all teams in and around us. That said, by the time I return next time, it probably won't be the case anymore. Everyone's just shuffling. All in all, though, I think a good performance today. Good to see the new signings having that impact that I've talked about. I do feel like having had a period of tactical uncertainty, having to change things up a fair amount, perhaps too much, really. We're kind of nailed on, we've got a game plan, and for the most part, it's kind of working. If you have enjoyed today's episode, make sure to drop a like on it. If you've got any comments in regards to the series, the tactic, anything else, get it down below. Besides that, I'll see you guys tomorrow for more, and until then, it is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.